This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another two good neighbors on the show, Katja Bergin and Kaley Powers of Bergin Motion. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, looking forward to the conversation. Not a whole lot I know about the business, which when we do so many podcasts, some of them are our clients, some of them we've been shopping at for a period of time, and some of them we don't know. And those are some of my favorite conversations of business that I'm unaware of. So to really dig deep into it, as I imagine that's a portion of the audience. So let's start right from the top. What is Bergin Motion?
So Bergin Motion is a family-run physiotherapy multidisciplinary clinic. We started originally in 2021, so just kind of right after the height of the pandemic. And I own the business with 4 other of my family members. So I'm a physio, my mom, sister, and cousin are all physios as well. And then my dad is the clinic director. So we all have different specialties. So we kind of thought it would be a good idea to open a clinic where we can see all sorts of different clients. And then now we've branched off into, we have a naturopath, we have a 2 massage therapists, we have an OT, we have a therapeutic yoga instructor, kinesiologist, yeah, and an athletic therapist. So we've kind of really branched out since we started, because we only started with 4 physios. So it was very much physio based when we first started, but yeah.
And what is an OT, Katja?
Occupational therapist. So they help people with whether it's they've had an injury and they're struggling to get back to work, they come in and decide what the person needs to get them back into going to work, what they might need for home modifications due to their injury, whether it's more banisters or stuff in their washroom that helps them with mobility challenges. Is there anything else?
Any like equipment related stuff. So if somebody maybe needs a new walker or wheelchair, they can help prescribe what the right thing would be and access government funding through that as well.
Yeah. And it really helps to have an OT on staff that works side by side with a physiotherapist, just because the physio will probably do a lot more of the physical rehab stuff. But stuff in the home, whether it's getting into the shower, it can be physical. So the OT comes in with the equipment. So you kind of work hand in hand on what the client might need physically, and the OT kind of facilitates that.
And I guess they also work with like cognitive related challenges as well. So they'll help with mental health, they'll help with processing, information, memory, things like that, strategies.
Yeah. And what I mentioned before with how we all have kind of different specialties, generally what you see at most physio clinics is they treat kind of, whether it's just sort of sports injuries or they're called orthopaedic injuries, kind of those musculoskeletal, ankle sprains, back pain, shoulder pain, or they have just like a neurological specialty where they treat strokes and spinal cord injuries and brain injuries. We have everything here. So we basically go on a spectrum of I hurt my toe to a catastrophic brain injury where they're very
like low level, nonverbal, and everywhere in between, basically.
Yeah. And then we have like I specialize particularly in women's health and pelvic floor physiotherapy, vestibular physiotherapy. So we really wanted to create a space where we don't really say no to anyone, because I've worked at clinics before where they're say not wheelchair accessible. So they couldn't take anybody who has any kind of wheelchair needs, whether it's a stroke or brain injury, spinal cord injury. So it's kind of nice that we've created this big open space where we have everyone and anyone come in with different injuries.
I love it. So you guys check pretty much all the boxes when it comes to, is injuries the right word, or am I missing something?
I think that's getting into some reasons why people think physio may not be for them is because they need an injury to come to physio. I don't think that's necessarily true. We see lots of people who come in for preventative care. especially like maybe they're going in for surgery and they want to get a little bit stronger before they go for that surgery. Or it's just something, you know, I'm having some balance related issues, or I'm getting a bit older, I want to get stronger to mitigate a falls risk or something like that. So I think people think physios just treat injuries, but we see a whole slew of people for other things that are more maintenance based or preventative based, posture related things. So not necessarily I can identify when something happened, therefore I'm coming for physio, but just lifestyle in general. We're seeing more and more people access physiotherapy.
I'm really glad you brought up that point. Fitness has been like literally movement, nutrition, sleep, the foundation of my life for the past 2 decades. When I'm not doing those things, you can bet I'm probably more of a dick, a little bit more irritable and a little grumpy. But yeah, I think those are key necessities to just living a great life, movement, nutrition, and sleep. And with that, because the gym, weight training specifically, did a lot of bodybuilding back in my 20s, still do that, just not competitively, but it's a big part of my life. When I had trainers, when I actually had, you know, a team with me in the competitive world, a physiotherapist was part of that team. And that was planted, that seed was planted to me in my early 20s. I was 23 when I started doing that for about 5 years. And I don't go to the physio as much as I did because it was weekly before to deal with all the inflammation and with the amount of stress we were putting on the joints and the muscles. But now I still go once a month, not because I have an injury, just because it helps in recovery. It moves me away from injury, and it's that preventative side. I would have never known that had that not been taught to me. It was go to a chiropractor, go to a doctor, go to a physiotherapist when you've identified the problem and go there to fix it. I don't want the problems to happen. So I go for that reason now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also with the movement to working from home or being at our computers a lot more sedentary, I think people are starting to understand that that is not super beneficial for our bodies. Like as humans, we're kind of meant to move, and we're meant to,
I hope so,
not be static all the time. And I think that, I mean, our jobs are our jobs. And sometimes we are unfortunately stuck at a desk, working at a desk a lot of the day. And I think people are a little bit better now about recognizing, okay, this can create issues. So maybe I'm going to go see somebody that can give me some tips on, okay, is it every hour I'm doing a stretch, or is it at the end of the day, I'm doing this kind of program to help prevent things from actually happening? Because we hear a lot of people who say, I sit at a desk all day, my back hurts, right? But kind of getting on top of that before that sort of starts to happen.
And I think like also with the people working from home is recognizing that physiotherapists, occupational therapists are people who can actually look at your work setup, right? A lot of people, their desk and their chairs aren't actually ergonomically sound for what they need to be, right? So they're getting wrist-related issues because their mouse and they're in too much wrist extension when they're on their computer or something like that. So these are like little things that people may not be aware of that we can assist with identifying, you know, maybe if we just raise your height of your chair by an inch, that might help some of these issues. So we can kind of come in and do that as well.
I think that's fantastic. And that's the first time I've heard that, being in this world for as long as I have been, working with many chiros, many physiotherapists, and just being in the overall kind of wellness world for as long as I have. I haven't heard that before. So how do you do that? So right now I'm sitting at a desk. I have the standing desk. If I need to, not much else outside of that. I'm sitting in a chair that I find comfortable. I try to be here for the least amount of time possible, but it's a lot of time. I mean, at least 6 hours, multiple days a week, sometimes a lot more than that. So you get on a video call and just like, do I just point a camera at all my stuff to see where I'm at? Or how do you guys actually assess my environment? That's very interesting to me.
We can do it. I mean, we can do it virtually. We also at Bergin Motion, our providers do travel into the community. So if somebody is so for different reasons, one would be maybe to assess a home setup. So one of our physios or the OT can go out and actually look at, you know, what your workspace is in person, or virtually, or just taking pictures of kind of how you're set up, right? Have a partner or someone you live with, maybe your friend, take photos of what you look like when you sit at your desk, and we can look at the angles of like, your knees to your hips to your back to your head posture, where are your screens in relation to how you're sitting, those sort of things. But we also travel to the community just for people who aren't able to access a clinic space, right? There's lots of people out there who maybe have an injury or maybe don't have transportation that allows them to get to the clinic or a reliable ride. So we can travel to you as well.
Okay, so just to be clear on that, because that is also something that I have not heard is at least common. It may have been brought up before, but not enough for me to remember. This sounds like a new thing to me. You guys will do in-home visits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we do them. I think, how many physios do we have? We have...
Oh, good question. We keep growing. So I don't know. We're up to probably 10 physios now.
Yeah, and I would say every single one of them will travel. I mean, it does come with a cost. There is a cost to traveling into the community, but every single one of us, I think right now I have 2 clients in the community that I see during the week. So it's not like most of my days are spent at the clinic seeing clients here, but there are people who have needs for us to go out into the community, and the whole ergonomic setup can be definitely a part of that process, or it's just me going in and running them through their rehab program or bringing my treatment table. We have like mobile treatment tables that we bring in, and I can do manual therapy treatment there, or I sometimes bring equipment or the client has equipment. So every kind of community visit looks a little bit different.
That's fantastic that you guys offer that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that when we were talking before is we help businesses grow. It's not just on the marketing front. We try to give them points of how to create a better client experience. If there's a lot of friction between me having needs and me getting my needs met, like I can't get to your place or it's taking me a week to talk to somebody, we help in those regards. So that would be a perfect example of reducing a significant amount of friction from the need being identified and the need being met. I just love that you guys do that. We work with a ton of wellness centers, physiotherapists, and chiropractors locally here in Simcoe County. And I don't know that any of them offer that. If I'm wrong, excuse me to my clients who offer that, but I don't think that they do, as I think it would have been brought up, because I think that's a hell of an offer. And I love that you guys do that.
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
It's just something I believe that not many clinics do it because it's quite challenging. It's time consuming, right? To leave the clinic to go do those sort of things. But we also, I think the nature of who we see as our clients, like we offer a lot of neuro related services, and a lot of these people aren't driving. And we work a lot with people who have been in motor vehicle accidents, who have no transportation, right? So, but there is some funding there from an insurance perspective for us to travel. So we service, like I think we go all the way up to Midland, Penetang.
I had a client in Perry Sound that I drove to. So
Aurelia, but because the services aren't there, like specialized neuro services, so we travel quite a bit to give people access to the service that they need and that they deserve to have. Just because you live in a center that doesn't have your specialized kind of physios or massage doesn't mean that you shouldn't get that treatment. So we try and serve a larger population outside of even just Barrie.
And are you guys located in Barrie?
Yeah.
We're at the corner of Bayview and Saunders, so just south of the Costco in Barrie.
Oh, yeah, know exactly where you guys are. So a couple things. We're already halfway into the hour and we're on question 1. It's my fault because I love wellness. I love learning about this. I think it's just so fundamental to us being effective humans, knowing our bodies, knowing how it works, knowing how to manipulate it for our benefit, knowing how to move away from injury, things like that. So, forgive me for diving so deep onto the first question.
We also like to talk, so
we're passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that's a great combination. We'll probably get through 3 questions, but something that I'm interested in is I love the story. I find human beings just so fascinating. And we typically don't just end up at a destination for no reason. There's usually an interesting story there. So I imagine you both have backgrounds in this industry, that you didn't just start in 2021. But what led you to being like, I want to tackle the body in a very effective way, help heal people? Like, what is the story? What brought you guys to healing people, essentially, being a source of healing? And running your own business is very different than just being a physiotherapist. It's a whole other skill set. In the small business world, we have great cabinet makers and great plumbers. but those skills do not help them grow a business. That's a whole other realm, which is also very difficult. So what made you guys decide, I want to heal and I want to run my own business? Two very difficult things.
So I think for myself, I mean, one of the other owners, my mom, is a physio, and she's obviously been a physio for much longer than I have. And so I grew up around physio and sport, and I was heavily involved in mostly, I mean, varying different sports, but mostly soccer and track and field. And then when I went away to university, I competed on the track and field team, which presented with a slew of different injuries. And I think I was constantly just in a state of injury the entire time. Probably from, I mean, now knowing bodies a little bit better, I probably can point out why those were happening, but we don't need to get into that. So I spent a lot of time, not only growing up, but then once I moved away to university, being in a physio's presence. And I think I just fell in love with learning about different things about the body and how the body works and how the body moves. And I've always just found a really deep interest in it. And I'm sure there was some component of I grew up with it my whole life, and I heard my mom talking about it my whole life. And so, but there was never any like push to get into physio. She never kind of nudged me in that direction. But I think my sister and I both sort of from sport ended up in that path. And then, yeah, we ended, I mean, do you want to get into what your background is before I start going into the business side of things?
Yeah. So, I mean, similar to Katja, I grew up playing sports my entire life and had my fair share of injuries. And I played a lot of hockey and saw physio for sport-related injuries, which was what people usually associate physio with. And I, for the longest time, never had physio on my radar as something I wanted to do. I didn't want to just treat knee injuries and things like that. And it wasn't until I did a research master's after my kin undergrad in concussions and worked with the football team. And that's where I really sparked my interest in neuro rehab. And why I went to physio school was to pursue more neuro rehab. So when I graduated, I started working at a clinic that we dealt with mostly motor vehicle accidents and catastrophic kind of brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. And that's where my passion became for neuro and helping these individuals in kind of underserviced areas. And then moving to Barrie, switching over to more not carrying a caseload, but running the day-to-day stuff behind the scenes is kind of just expanding on my skill set, and I get to use my physio knowledge to advocate for individuals, and that's super important to me. Like I said, we deal with lawyers and insurance companies and anyone that comes off the street, and just making sure that they know how to access the healthcare system and the funding that's available so that they do get the resources that they need.
Yeah.
And before we go into the business, can you just give us, you're saying neuro a fair bit. I know that's a common term in your world, but for the people that are listening that maybe haven't heard that or don't have a good understanding of what neuro means, can you give us a quick little definition of what you're talking about?
Yeah. So when I say neuro, neurological injuries, so anything to do with brain, spinal cord, nerves that come off of the spinal cord, right? So we deal with, we've said like brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, neuropathies, which are injuries to the nerves themselves. Mm-hmm. So if somebody post-stroke might have obviously the stroke and the brain injury, but also drop foot because the signals aren't being sent to that foot so that they can't lift their toe up, so they drag their foot, things like that. So basically brain, spinal cord injury and the nerves associated.
We also see like Parkinson's and cerebral palsy and any kind of like neurological condition that, I mean, there's probably 100 we could list off that kind of fall in that bracket of neuro.
Which is fantastic that you guys offer that. Again, I'm not in the physio world, but that seems, I've been to a lot of physios. That seems uncommon that you guys offer that, which is fantastic. Did you want to delve into the business side of why you guys decided to tackle a business during a pandemic? Top it off. It's like you guys just want to do all the hardest things. That's like people you want.
Yeah. So I graduated physio school in 2016. So I kind of went off and did my thing, and my sister graduated and my cousin. So the four is my mom, my sister, my cousin, and I. We kind of all just my mom was doing her thing, and the other three kind of went off and did our own. We went to different clinics. I worked in Toronto. My sister was in London. My cousin was in Richmond Hill. And we sort of ended up, weirdly enough, all specializing in something different. Mine was kind of orthopedics and women's health. My sister is very much like sports rehab. My cousin does a lot of heavy neuro, and my mom does complex orthopedic and neurological stuff. So we sort of started thinking, once all of us became physios, we all have these different specialties. How cool would it be to have a clinic where we offer everything? Because like how you kind of said, you've never really been to a clinic where you see neuro stuff being treated, because you don't often get clinics that treat everything. So we sort of put our heads together and decided that it would be pretty cool to have a big clinic. And we didn't want something small that kind of looked like a doctor's office where you have all your separate treatment rooms. And we wanted like a big, massive space that almost resembled a gym, where you still have your treatment rooms on the side, but then you have this big open treating space with tons of equipment. It's not small. We have like, I don't even know, our roofs are
9,000 square feet of space, plus an additional like 3,000 upstairs and a loft space that we do like sports team training stuff, but it looks like a gym.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's very much this. So we kind of all put our heads together and said, we have these different skill sets. Let's open a clinic that offers everything, with a space that we can do team training and different gym activities and different classes and to offer different services. And so I think it was in 2019 that we decided we were going for it. And then the pandemic hit, which was, it was unfortunate in general, but we had not acquired a space yet when the pandemic hit. So we kind of said, okay, let's just continue on at our other clinics and hold off for a second while we continue to look for a space that might work for us. And then physio kind of got deemed essential, and we started getting the ball rolling a little bit more. And then September of 2020, we found the location we're in now. And it was kind of like still not great timing, just with how the pandemic was moving. And we were kind of getting back into quarantine and it was, but we said, well, we have to build the space out, and we need time, and we need to not have anything else to do, which during the pandemic, nobody had anything to do. So it was kind of perfect timing from a build out perspective. So we kind of pulled the trigger and said, let's take a risk and do it. And we had no idea how the pandemic was going to go, but from September, it took us about 4 months. So from September to about January, February, we built out the clinic, built out the treatment rooms, put all the equipment in, did all the flooring. We were here in our masks, laying flooring during that time, which was an interesting adventure. And then, in February of 2021, we kind of did a soft open, and we've just been full steam ahead ever since.
How's business been since then in these first 3 years?
I mean, our growth is pretty significant. We started with the four of us and my dad, who is kind of doing clinic director and sort of day-to-day management stuff. And then Kaley is married to my sister. So she came on
I came on 2022.
Yeah, 2022 to kind of do the management stuff. And we've grown. We now have 23 employees. So our growth is, and with all very busy caseloads and different specialties. And again, we bring on neurophysios, and then we bring on sport rehab physios, and then we bring on,
and I think like
vestibular.
The reason why we've continued to grow too is we don't want to be that clinic that, you can't get into for 3 weeks or a month or whatever. We realize that people's needs need to be met as early as they want to be met. And so rather than being a clinic that kind of stunts our own growth and saying, oh, sorry, you've got to go on the wait list, we've just added practitioners and been able to fill them up. But we've also we continue to take on more clients without a wait. So generally,
and we have the space, right?
Yeah.
So we have, over 10,000 square feet. So we have the space to grow, which is what we wanted. When we first started, it was a big old empty place. It was a bit lonely here in the beginning because it's so massive. So it didn't, and now it's like
getting smaller and smaller, right?
Yeah, well, we're now talking about expansion. So, which is pretty crazy in the first, I don't think any of us thought we'd be here in the first 3 years. And I mean, it didn't come without bumps and hurdles and
But
I
think,
wouldn't believe you if you said it did.
yeah. There's been moments of it's tested all of us, I think, in many different ways. So, but I think we create a bit of a family environment. We create, I know my sister's clients, I know Alex's clients, I mean, we create a family environment where everyone knows each other's clients. Everyone says hi to each other's clients. All of our staff really get along. We're very choosy on who we hire because we create a culture that is, family.
It's a family, it's community feel. And I think even the clients, we have so many people who come in regularly for appointments at the same time. Our clients know each other. And so they'll be like, oh, hey, Dave, like you're doing so well. Look at how well you're walking. Like there's that feeling because we're treating out in the open a lot. So it's not, obviously, if you need privacy, you go in a treatment room, but because we have the open gym space, you'll see 5-6 people out there with their clients. Everyone knows each other. Everyone says hi. They support each other's rehab goals. So it's a really cool feeling to see the clients interacting with each other because they see each other's progressions. And that's really what we wanted to build, is that community feel that just as much as this is a family business, our clients are family to us too. And so they are treated like one of us every time they're in.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. It's great, especially for local business in a community like Simcoe County. It's a special place. And I think people resonate really well to that community, want to be a part of something, want to feel like their needs are being met, they're being heard, they're important. I think that really matters in a big way. Let's pivot outside of business a little bit and get into what puts a smile on the two of your faces. Outside of work, I'll ask that question to everybody. And like, I love my work. That's fantastic. So many people love their work because I don't think everybody does. Work can sometimes be a burden for some people, unfortunately, but a lot of our entrepreneurs love what they do. It's their passion, and that's great. But there are more things to life than just work. So what do you guys get into outside of work that really lights you up?
I think we're both like pretty passionate about traveling. We're actually going, Kaley, myself, my husband, and my sister are all going to France in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Love to travel. We're going to go see some Olympic soccer games. We're all pretty big sports people. So, which is kind of cool. Yeah. None of us, have you ever been to the Olympics?
No.
None of us ever been to the Olympics. So that'll be exciting. So I think travel is a big one.
How long are you guys going for?
10 days. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, should be good. And then I think we all have dogs. That's another big passion of all of us.
What kind of dogs?
Like each other, but that's
I have 2 like rescue German Shepherd lab kind of mixes. Katja's got a mini golden doodle. You'll often see him around the clinic. He's here today.
We have a lot of dogs at the clinic.
A lot of dogs here. So our dogs take up
just the way you said that, Kaley. A lot of dogs here.
Some you don't see, some stay in the staff area, but others are roaming around the clinic, greeting clients. But and we're just big sports people. Like our work has a beach volleyball team. We play ball hockey, we play hockey, we play soccer, run. We've got some people who are competing in triathlon this summer. Like we're all pretty active. We all love to travel, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, someone's always on vacation.
Yeah.
So travel, sports, pets, and family.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And work, of course. Okay.
Fit that in. But everyone that is also here at work, that's family and dogs. So it's all encompassing.
That's some good boxes to check. That sounds like a very full life. You guys ever take breaks outside of traveling, or is it just full speed ahead?
Doesn't seem like there's a ton of breaks sometimes, but we try. I think sometimes when we take breaks, we're also together outside. Like last night, we went and watched the Canada-Argentina soccer game at a restaurant, and we were all together again. It's like we never leave each other's sides. So
we choose to spend time with each other outside of work as family and friends.
Yeah.
So
we see a lot of each other, which is nice because we haven't got sick of each other yet. So it's a good sign.
And I mean, it's the family you're born with and then your family you choose, right? If we are able to choose a great family and we're around them all the time, it's a fantastic way to live, I think. But let's talk about doing hard things. This question really is about kind of the messiness of life and the value that comes from embracing challenging things. All the entrepreneurs that come on here have done a hard thing, whether they're a specialist or not. Opening up a business and being successful is difficult, and you're in service to other people. So I think that is a hell of a mentality to be in. How can I help other people? So I think there's some altruism that can be found in entrepreneurship. But we're talking more about our failures, our hardships in life, not just choosing, I'm going to go to the gym because it's hard, or do my master's because it's hard and I can get a lot of value out of that, but more about embracing these failures that we've had in life and not shaming them, like not being embarrassed of ridicule or judgment. I don't think society as a whole really promotes or talks about their failures as much as I believe we should. When you go on social media, it's more like, here's my fancy boat, here's my perfect family, here's my great travel event. It's not like, here's my failed business, here's my struggling relationship, here's my struggling health, whatever it may be. But I think those are major parts in life. And certainly from my experience and the people that I follow, derive so much value and so much potential growth from our painful moments. Certainly been true in my life. If I keep taking a test and I keep getting 100% on it, my brain's likely going to tell me, par for the course, just keep doing the same thing. There's no reason to change. Whereas if I butt up against a major barrier that I do not have the skill set to get past right now, that gives me the opportunity to learn new skills and become a more valuable human being, and then hopefully surmount that obstacle. So I think there's a lot of value in embracing our challenges in life, whether going through COVID, death, relationship, whatever it may be. And we want to be a part of putting a spotlight on doing these hard things, embracing them, not moving away from discomfort, but in many cases, moving into discomfort. So we love to ask the guests on the show, any trials, tribulations, hardships that you've been through that probably sucked in the moment, as doing an uncomfortable or difficult thing usually has that symptom of not feeling so good. But when you look back on it in hindsight, you wouldn't remove that ingredient from the recipe that is now you, because it's led you to living the life you enjoy today. Anything come to mind?
I mean, yeah, I think there's been a lot, like over the last 3 or 4 years since we have been open, that I think we've had to kind of jump over and move past and sit in for a second and communicate about. And I think, one of the biggest things that comes to mind is probably everyone's in the last 4 years was the pandemic, and having to, I think when we first, like I had mentioned before, when we first decided to kind of jump into this, and it was, we had no idea what was going to happen. And when we first opened, you kind of open your business and you go, okay, we're here. And
Come,
please.
come see us.
So I think I remember specifically it was one of my first weeks, kind of, because I had slowly transitioned from my last clinic and sort of did a bit of part-time. And it was my first full week here. And I think I had a couple clients, like it was just really quiet in here. We had just opened, and it was a bit of like a moment of, what did we do? Why did I leave my very cushy full caseload to come to this big, massive, empty clinic where no one even knows we exist? We're not on Google's radar. We don't have very much marketing money, right? In the beginning, as you open a business, you spend all your money on getting it open, and then there's not a lot of extra spend to happen otherwise, because you're not really making any money in the beginning. So I think that was a pretty big, I think instinct was to run and we didn't, and I'm very glad we didn't, and I'm happy.
Why didn't you? Why not run when your brain's saying, house is on fire, get out?
I think truthfully, and it sounds cliche, but I think like the family support and the family unit that we have is quite strong. I think anyone who knows us on a personal level, our family is a bit rare in the sense of how close we are with our cousins and our aunts and uncles. Like our big family unit is, Kaley's entered our family, and I think she can speak on that. It's a pretty interesting dynamic of how close we all are. My aunts and uncles are basically like my second parents, and cousins are my brothers and sisters. And I think having that really strong foundation of family unit, sort of, we all supported each other through that hard time, because we were all kind of sitting here going like, oh God, why did we do this? And then it slowly just got better, and we slowly kind of kept pushing forward. We learned more about marketing, we're still learning, and we've learned more about how to put ourselves in the community and go to community events. And we just started learning, right? We just slowly, every day was a bit of a learning curve, and our learning's been pretty exponential. And I don't think that it will ever stop. I think there's always learning to be had. I think every time we have meetings every Friday morning, and every Friday morning I learn something new,
else, yeah.
and there's some hurdle to kind of get over. And I mean, the dynamics of, having 6 people, and there's different personalities, and you're all trying to get your thing in, and you all have to kind of meet somewhere in the middle and come up to that decision. That's hard.
Yeah. And I know that feeling. We've been around for a little while, but we certainly went through the pandemic, and we are not an essential service. So that was an interesting little pivot, but I'm really happy that you shared the challenges, the uncertainty. What do we do? And you decided to move forward. And it seemed like your answer to moving forward in a large part was because of that family dynamic, that support. That's a testament to having good people around you and the impact that it can have on your life. So anybody that's listening, find good people. They can make a huge difference just to not feel alone and to get different advice. But then all the learning that came from that is so, I don't know, do you think you would be where you are right now without going through those challenges? Like, you guys had to become, I don't know the situation, so I won't say, but from my point of view, COVID, I saw break a lot of businesses. Unfortunately, it was tragic, and they're no longer around. Other businesses were tested to the point where they decided it either breaks us or we have to get better. And they were forced to get better, to pivot their business, to go online, to do curbside delivery, whatever it is. And now from that painful moment, they've become a more valuable business. They're answering more problems from more people now. So it's like, am I happy we went through COVID? No, I think that would be ridiculous to say. But there was some value derived from it for a large portion of people. Like any other hardship, replace COVID with a passing, with a failed business, with a relationship, whatever it may be. That's the point of this question that I really hope people resonate with, is you get to choose what the outcome of embracing your hardships are. It can either beat you down, and that can be an option. You can quit, or it can force you to become a more valuable version of yourself, a valuable version of your business. And I love that now you guys have 20 people starting off with a small group, empty building. It seems like the building's getting smaller and smaller because you guys are filling it up so much. In just a short 3 years, we spend a great deal of time paying a very close eye on the statistics around small and medium businesses, not just in North America, as we're North American wide, but here specifically in Simcoe County. And to reach the level of success you guys have reached in 3 years is rare. That's not typically that common to go from, how many people did you start with? 4 or 5?
4. Yeah. 4 physios. Yeah.
To go to 20. And I mean, unless you guys hit the lottery and had millions of dollars to spend when you started, which is in most small businesses, that's hard-earned growth. I mean, you guys have 5x'd your people in 3 years. That's super rare. So you guys are doing something right. I appreciate you sharing that story. I think a lot of people resonate with it. COVID kicked a lot of our butts, but a lot of us became better because of it. So pivoting back to your business a little bit, all that you guys know and all the problems that you guys are trying to solve out there. From my experience, again, I don't know everything about the physio world. I would say I'm still quite green in it, but I've experienced it a fair bit and work with a number of them. Seems like you guys offer a few things that is uncommon in that space. So if you could have 1 or 2 sentences to really get the point across to your audience of what you want them to know about Bergin Motion, what would it be?
Yeah, I think know that we're a family-owned community business that serves this community regardless of who you are and what your needs are. That if you've got any indication that you might need some assistance, come see us. At least phone us, right? We can help you identify like whether we can help you, but we can help anybody in this area who has any idea that they might need or are thinking about physio or OT or massage or anything like that, that we're here for you.
Awesome. I love it. Now, before I get into my final question, which wasn't on the questionnaire, although I don't put it on there because some people script their answers and I immediately try to derail people that script their answers. It does not seem like you guys have scripted your answers at all. But before we get into that, how can people find out about you? Location, socials, phone number, website?
Yeah.
What's the best way?
I mean, we're on all of them. So Bergin Motion, BerginMotion.ca is our website. You can give us a call, 705-252-0330. Our email for our front desk who can answer most of your questions, or at least find someone who can answer, is hello@berginmotion.ca. But we're located corner of Bayview and Saunders, just south of the Costco in Barrie. So, and you feel free to stop by. We're happy to give people tours if they want to come and check out the facilities or speak to some of the physios or anyone here. We're an open door, so come and see us, and we're happy to chat through whatever your needs might be.
Beautiful. And you guys are on Facebook, Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah, it's all under just Bergin Motion. Like our Instagram just says Bergin Motion. Same with Facebook. I think that's it, right? Yeah. Just Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Super
not
easy.
TikTok yet.
Not TikTok yet. I don't know.
Look
if
at the
I want to go down that road. That's a slippery slope. Anyway, so this last question, this podcast, and I think in general, for a lot of us entrepreneurs, our business is an extension of ourselves, right? Like our personality shows up in the corners and the walls and the doors of our businesses, metaphorically speaking, or sometimes literally. So there's only a handful of things that there's only so many hours in the day. So I focus on only a handful of things in life that really provide a lot of value to me. Fitness, certainly. Mental health is a big one. Entrepreneurship, impact, purpose, mentorship. Those are the 5 kind of main categories that I really focus on in a big, big way. This question is about impact, purpose. And it was through a mentor that planted this seed to me in my early 20s. I was very lucky to get around some great people that have changed the trajectory of my life considerably. And she taught me about impact and what it is. She taught me to be very intentional about my impact and reflect on it up to this point as a 23-year-old man, boy, basically in a man's body. She says, reflect on your impact up to this point. I had never done that before. It was like girls, cars, money, whatever, very superficial needs and wants. But she made me realize that getting more time is very much out of my control. A large portion of it. Spending the time how I want to spend it is up to me, a large portion of it, but getting more of it, something has to give it to me. And therefore it can take it away, no matter my age. So she taught me to be very intentional about what is it you're trying to do here? You're born, you die. What is the net of Jeff being on this planet? Is it positive? Is it negative? How many people did you affect and how? So that has driven a lot of my choices. I mean, so much so that I have most of my rules for life tattooed on my arm, and impact is the first few, to be very intentional about it. So we like to ask the guests on the show. Some of them take it as that's legacy. So posthumous. How do I want to be thought of after I'm gone? I don't really care about that because I'll be gone and I won't know. I want to know what I'm doing here now. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? Who's it's affecting? So we love to ask the guests on the show because we're super curious about this answer. Is what do you two want your impact to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard question. I think it goes back to, what we're doing for our clients. I think I want our impact from a business standpoint to just be that people enjoy coming here. I think people are going through a lot of stuff. And I think we actually just talked about this in we had a big meeting on the weekend, and we sort of said like one of the main, and it sounds almost bad when you say it, but it's not, I think the saying is it's not about you. So when you go out to greet a client, like it's they're here with their issue, and we really want to make an impact and on their life and their issues and their struggles. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like we just want people to know that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. And so I think what we try and achieve here is the impact that we leave on somebody is that if they need to come here and just have someone listen to them, we can do that. If they need something more than that and be like with physical treatments or whatever it might be, the impact is that we're leaving an impression that they're not alone and that we are helping them along in their journey in whatever capacity that might be. But that our doors are always open to help people in any way that we can. And we've expanded our services to make sure that we do reach the needs of people in our community. So I think just trying to continue with those values that, you know, everyone that works here is here for a reason, and the reason is beyond themselves. It's really to have that positive impact on the lives of the clients that walk through our door, and that hopefully they leave here feeling a bit better than maybe they came in. And that may not be physically, but mentally as well, that we really care about the individuals, not just, you know, the condition we might be treating.
Yeah, I think it's to put it simply, is just to help others. I think we all have a really, really big passion about making it very client-centered, and it just makes all of us feel really good when we're able to help others. And I think that's the impact, at least through my life, that I want to make, because that makes me feel good, and that obviously hopefully makes the person I'm helping feel good too.
Well, I appreciate you adding that last point, because often people answer that question through the lens of their business. And then I follow up with personally, because a lot of our entrepreneurs, I mean, they do their work as a way of living, not just as a way of getting a paycheck. It's a lifestyle choice for many of these people. Certainly mine is I wasn't forced into this business. We continue to do it after 10 years because we love it. And it's a way of living, really. So when you said at the end there, it makes me feel good to help people, I think that's such a fantastic thing. I mean, that is a never ending well. There's always more people to help. And if it makes us feel good, it's just this positive reciprocating cycle. And I think that's a hell of an impact that I believe goes way beyond our line of sight. I don't think we often recognize how many people we are affecting by just elevating one person's mood. And then that mood affects another person's mood. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Could be tens of thousands of people in a day, in a week, in a month. So this has been a great conversation. I love what you guys do. I love that you've seen such growth. I'm kind of happy that your growth came through like the fiery hell of COVID, because that's saying something. You know, the best things are the hardest earned in from my perspective. And it seems like you guys are on a very positive trajectory. And thank you for sharing all that you have. And look forward to having many more conversations.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you guys enjoy the day, and I'm sure we will talk soon.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.